You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry Sanderson on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
101-93. Golden State remains a game up on Houston for the final play-in spot in the West. Bulls beat the Pacers 125-99, and the Knicks knock off the Raptors 145-101.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
And good morning. Welcome into a Thursday edition of Inside the Locker Room. 205-342-9904. If you'd like to jump in on the show with us this morning, our X accounts at Locker Room 109 is the one for the show. The personal one's at Barry Sanderson at Wimp Sanderson 1. If you want to email us, wimpandbarry@yahoo.com. We've gotten several app messages this week, and you can do that on the app. Tide 100.9, so download the app to your smartphone, and you can take us with you anywhere you go. Of all the colors, yellow is the most important, at least when it comes to building outdoors. You're going to build that fence, that deck, that pergola, then use pressure-treated pine from Great Southern Wood. Go to yellowwood.com to find the dealer that is close to you, and always remember, if it doesn't have that yellow tag on it, you don't want it. You got 4 games today. That's right. Yes. I wish, and I know people are working and I understand prime time and all that. I wish you'd play them all separately today where you can watch them all. I guess you can if you got 2. Play them at, 2 or 2, 5:30, set whatever. Play them 12, start at 12 and play all 4 of them on CBS so you can watch each and every game. People would love to do that, but instead we'll get to the most important time, and we'll have 2 games going on at the same time tonight. But good morning, Dad. How are you this morning?
I'm doing okay. We're in the process of coaches changing. We're in the process of players being disgruntled with their teams and transferring. I'll give a few of those as we go through. Not a whole lot of them, because I don't think our listeners are that in tune with it. In the games tonight, Clemson plays Arizona. Both these teams have beaten Alabama. And if Alabama was able to win, it would certainly give them a plus to get ready for whoever wins the Clemson-Arizona game. I think psychologically be great for Alabama to play whoever has already beaten them, because they've got film on and so forth. That's a CBS game, and it's at 6:09. And Arizona's a 7.5-point favorite. I don't particularly care for Arizona. When the athletic director at Alabama was trying to hire a basketball coach, he had seen Nate Oates' team beat Arizona naked at Arizona pretty badly, and that was one of the reasons, I think, from what I can understand, that he decided to make that hire or saw that situation there. So he was the athletic director at Arizona when his team, Nate Oates' team, came out there. So thought that might be interesting to you. San Diego State and Connecticut. Connecticut is the prohibited 11.5-point favorite. San Diego State is a team that beat Alabama last year. I don't think they're quite as good. Connecticut probably is right now among the not among me, but among the prognosticators is maybe the best one of the group. Alabama, North Carolina, and that second game will be on TBS. True TV. Alabama and North Carolina will be 8:39. It'll be a CBS game. North Carolina is a slight 4.5-point favorite. It's going to be should be a very good game. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. So we'll see what happens there. Nice article written today about the games, the last game that we played against them today. In the paper I saw, Illinois and Iowa State. I'm a big fan of Iowa State as far as their abilities. I don't know them, but Iowa State's gotten a lot better. 9:09 tonight, and that's on TBS. And true as Barry's mentioned, you have to watch 2 games at one time. And Iowa State is a 1.5 favorite. It's going to be a very close. Illinois is very good, and so we'll see what happens there. Pat Kelsey, who was at Charleston, played Alabama the first time the other night, is the new head coach at Louisville. A very surprised hiring him in my neck of the woods, but I won't go into that. Florida Atlantic has hired a Baylor assistant coach there. Of course, as you know, the Florida Atlantic coach went to Michigan. A great deal for him. Michie Johnson, the really good player at South Carolina, is going to transfer or maybe go pro, where it hurts them. Florida benched their guard in the SEC tournament, and he is 88 and out the gate. Benched him for just 2 games, and whatever, and he's going to pull one out of there. The Vandy coach is James Byington. The rumor I get on him is he does not like to recruit. Good luck. So we'll see what happens there, because you better get out and get to work at Vanderbilt. That's one of the problems I think they had with the past coach. Let's see. In the NIT last night, VCU got beat. I was trying to find the score, but I can't right now. But they got beat, and so that was a big win for whoever beat them. I can't remember who beat them right now. I got it written down. Utah. Pardon me. I'm sorry. Utah beat VCU 20 points in the NIT. Most of you know that Dave Oldham's son is a head coach at VCU. You don't know it, but I'm telling you. Seton Hall playing at home. Beat UNLV 91-68 in the NIT, if you have any interest in that whatsoever. So 4 games tonight, starting tonight, big deal. I think one of the things that's a little bit interesting to me, from what I can gather, Jaron Stevenson, who had always loved North Carolina, but from what I understand, there were basically 2 reasons. One maybe was money. The other reason, he liked to shoot threes. Selected Alabama, and I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the rumor came out to me. I think a lot of these kids who are going to be playing against Jaron tonight will be kids that showed him around North Carolina and visited with him in North Carolina. He knows them all by first name, which will probably make North Carolina really get more ready to play. And not that they need to get any more ready, but probably maybe a little bit psychologically get them ready to play, because Stevenson is the guy that turned them down and decided to go to Alabama. So we'll see what happens there. Some other people are leaving their teams. I'm not going to get into all that. Coaches are changing around, and as these 16 teams finish up and there's 16 winners, there'll be other coaches who lose their jobs, lose their games, that will take jobs that we don't know about. I'm sure we'll see what happens there. So that's sort of it. We welcome your calls and your thoughts about it. We were able to get Peter Chilcutt in today, who we worked really hard on to recruit, and weren't able to get in the last minute. Lost him. We didn't lose very many players in the state that we wanted, but we did lose him. And JC will be on to start our show today at 7:30. And I'm sure Barry has some things he wants to say.
Yeah, I think Jared Stevenson, I think it was some NIL, but I also think he reclassified. He's really supposed to just be a high school senior. My understanding was he did it so late North Carolina didn't have a scholarship. And I guess you can find one and make one. But his mother did actually played at North Carolina. So I'd be interested to kind of talk to Peter Chilcutt about that. He lives 10 minutes from Chapel Hill, just the kind of the emotions that he had coming back here and playing Alabama. And, of course, this kid will go through that tonight and when he plays basically his hometown school. So, he has a lot of friends there. As far as Wrightsell, I hear people saying they think he's going to play. I just don't see how he plays. Maybe I hope I'm wrong. I hope he does. But he hasn't. There's no way he's been practicing this week. So he's been off for 3 days. So, you lose your conditioning and all that. It's amazing how quick you can lose your conditioning. So, I mean, do they have to have Reitzel to win this game, Dad? And do you anticipate him playing? I don't anticipate him playing tonight.
No, I don't think that. I think if they're shooting the basketball well and defending the defensive. I'm not saying effort, because I think probably the effort was there, but the defensive. They spent a lot of time, I'm sure, looking at film and going over how to go over screens and who to show and what so forth. North Carolina has a point guard that doesn't make any threes, and they may be able to go behind the screens there. But it's to be a different kind of defensive game for Alabama, and they did guard the ball well in the last game. But it was just a total game of dribble drive and no screens, no nothing. If you wanted to try to evaluate it and say you knew something, which I don't, maybe North Carolina's a little better on the inside. I think it totally depends on the kind of job that North Carolina does defensively against Alabama's threes. And I think it's
all right. Let's so Bacot. They've had. We saw when they played Tennessee, they had some time to get ready for Connect, and they did some different. They ran and they doubled him a lot. When he got the ball, they doubled him to get it out of his hands, and it was effective. He was not effective. Talk to the listeners about what you can do against a low post player like Bacot. If you try to guard him one-on-one, it's going to be a long night. So either
you can come from the backside and double him. We used to go from the closest man on top and double down. Now that's a little bit day, and I'm not talking about from 3-point line.
No, I understand.
But our closest man on top of him would go down and double him from the top rather than double him from the back. And anytime you can double somebody like that, and make them throw it out. Number one, they got to be good passers. Number two, it takes away their effectiveness. So I have no idea what Alabama plans to do. I know that Barry's talked about one of these new assistant coaches studying so much, but I think he studied offense more than defense. So we'll see. I think Alabama, as I have said, has a very good chance to win the game. I do not know that if they will or not. I have no idea. I'm not trying to gamble the game or figure it out. I think they have a chance to, and one of the people that do this kind of things for a living has picked Alabama, and two of them have picked in North Carolina. So anyway, it should be it's a winnable game for Alabama. Going to the Final 16 is a big deal, and winning that game would be huge. Alabama's done it one time, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so we'll see how they guard. They're not going to guard him one-on-one. I mean, you can front him, but you can double him. You can try to push him off the block, but, you're going to have to play Wagi against him. You have to keep fresh guys against him because Grant Nelson cannot guard him down there one-on-one.
I think Wagi will get the game more, Barry.
Yeah, he'll have to play, and then you got Pringle. And I would think Pringle will start on him.
Yeah, I agree.
And, because he's – probably their most physical, most athletic guy down there. So we'll see how they guard him. So watch for that during the game. R.J. Davis, they've got some guys who can shoot the ball. So when you double down, you're going to give up something.
Right.
So you're going to give up 3-point shots. So you have to take away something. And when you take away something, you got to give up something. So that's just the way it is, right, Justin? You take away something, you're giving up something. So we'll see what happens. We'll be interested to talk to Peter Chilcutt in the second hour, who does radio with them. He'll know them inside and out, and we'll pick his brain about that, about the Tar Heels as well. 2 Men in a Truck. They're at 1330 Martin Road East. That's where you go pick up your boxes, your packing supplies, whatever you need to get ready for this move. Now, moving is stressful. I understand that. I've done a lot of moving in my time. So you want to let professionals handle it. They'll take great care of you and your stuff. Whether it's a local move, out of town, out of state, or people moving to the area, only one choice, 2 Men in a Truck. Give them a call today, 205-247-5050. That's 2 Men in a Truck. Movers who care.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Today's loser on the Wheel of Horrible Traffic is turning out to be the Coaling area. We have two separate accidents on eastbound 2059, not that far from each other, both in the vicinity of University. Now, the first one's off on the left shoulder, no lanes blocked. But further up the road, that's the big one. A big crash with a fire unit still on scene. They're blocking the right lane. All of this has led to about a 20-minute backup through the area. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Thursday morning. The family of Tristan Clark is considering a civil rights violation lawsuit against TPD and the officer involved in his shooting death during a traffic stop near Bowers Park in December. The police report says Clark allegedly reached for a gun. The family claims there are inconsistencies between the police report and what.
Your best bet for big wins is just minutes away at Birmingham Racecourse Casino, where you can be a winner too. Off I-459, exit 31 Derby Parkway.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A good supply of sunshine today, the high 67. Clear and cool tonight, the low 40. Tomorrow and Saturday, the warming trend continues. A good supply of sunshine both days. The high tomorrow 72, the high Saturday in the upper 70s at 78. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 43 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Want to know what's going on with the Crimson Tide? Download the Tide 100.9 app today.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Yellowwood pressure treated pine from Great Southern. Want to build the 5-star backyard, use Yellowwood. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it. As I look at North Carolina statistics for the year, they're only playing 7 guys double-figure minutes. They got one other guy getting 8, 2 other guys getting 8 minutes a game, so they're not playing much. So depth, their starters are averaging, and I'm talking minutes here, R.J. Davis averaging 34, Baycott 30, Harrison Ingram 32, Cormac 30, and Elliott could do 24. So these guys are playing a lot of minutes there, and they're only playing 7 or 8. If you're playing real fast and they're not used to playing at that speed, can that factor in? Are these long? In the NCAA tournament, I think you get an extra minute with every timeout for commercials, so that also is a factor there. But just talk about, I guess your better teams only need to play 7 or 8, but they're not playing it. They don't have a humongous bench, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Anything I say on this show, sometimes people take it the wrong way, and I just try to tell it what I think, and what I think half the time is wrong. I think it's a good North Carolina team. I think it's of the number ones. I thought it was the 4th best team. That was just my opinion. Before I even knew who was doing what, I just have not particularly. That's what I thought. Will the fast break affect them some? It can late. And what it does to you sometimes, it takes your legs out from under you a little bit, which affects your shooting. And if it does that, because I don't know, the number of threes attempted by Alabama versus North Carolina will be, if I had to guess, 10 or 12 more by Alabama than North Carolina would shoot it. They have one non-shooter, or doesn't look to shoot it. Yes, they have a good inside game, as Barry's mentioned. You're not going to win the game with one great inside player. You're just not. He's got, he can rebound and he can score and he can hurt you some. But as far as winning the game, you've got to be good with all 5 of your guys defensively, and you've got to shoot the basketball at a decent rate. So those are the 2 factors there. And the other factor that we've talked about, and I don't have any idea why that happened. I think a little bit of it was the home court advantage, which nobody will have, is that at Tennessee and at Auburn, the number of turnovers were large. Did the crowd have anything to do with it? To some degree, probably. But that case won't happen in this particular case here. Of course, this is really silly for some of you. I have always felt it's a little bit more difficult, and I could be way off base. a little bit more difficult to shoot the basketball when you don't have any field behind the goal, and that happens a lot. But these big open-air courts, for whatever reason, and Barry's already mentioned.
Well, these are where the NBA teams play. These aren't domes. These are guys who are playing in. These are arenas.
Okay, well, and Barry's also mentioned that the tightness of the rims, which means that quickness, anticipation, being ready to go can get the long rebound for you. Some of these rebounds are not going to come off right where a big guy can catch them and put them back. There are times that will happen, but there are times that shot is taken and it hits the other side of the rim and goes all the way towards the corner. So you've got to run down rebounds, and I would imagine each coach, I don't coach either one of them's team, but that will emphasize the running down of the rebounds as far as the rebounds also right on the goal. So it should be an interesting game and should be a chance for Alabama to win if they play well.
All right, get to the Yellowwood hotline. Get Philip in. Good morning, Philip.
Good morning, y'all. Hey, Whip, I think you're right way more than you're wrong. So I think you're rough on yourself. You're pretty spot on a lot of stuff. I'm amazed at all the stuff you get right.
Well,
because he flips, Philip.
No.
He flips.
Philip, take up for me, Philip.
Philip.
Oh, I am.
Philip, hey, Texas is going to beat Alabama. Texas is going to beat Alabama. Texas is going to beat Alabama. No, Alabama's going to beat Texas.
That's one game. That was one football game.
Then you don't know what he picked. You don't know what he picked.
Hey, Philip, take up for me.
Saban's going to retire. Saban's going to retire.
No, he did get that one. I'll give him that one. That was luck, though.
All right, guys. I'm fixing to put you on the spot like I did Martin. I threw this out there to Martin a minute ago. And my son came up with this last night. I got to give my son Alexander credit. Great thinking on his part. Now, the 4-game redshirt rule, I know that applies to football. Does that apply to college basketball?
No.
What applies to college basketball?
I mean, you would have to. There's a certain percentage of your season
of injury.
You would have to have a season-ending injury, and you could have only played in a certain percentage of games. And so I don't know exactly what the percent is, but
I don't either.
Barry, you may know where I'm going with this. You've got a hurt Davin Cosby, he's out. You've got a banged-up Latrell Wrightsell. We don't know what his situation is. You've got a few guys who aren't playing very well as far as scoring points. But you got a guy on the bench by the name of Chris Parker that hadn't played all year. In a historic game like this where you can advance and go to the Elite Eight, and you can't go to the Final Four unless you get to the Elite Eight. Do you play Chris Parker if his red shirt is not compromised?
Well, Philip, you've gone through the year where Wrightsell's been hurt a bunch. If he was good enough to play, they would have already played him.
I don't think it was a question of him being good enough to play. I think he had an injury that.
Well, to answer your question, no, you're not going to burn a kid's season over one game.
But would that burn his season?
If he played, yes.
It would. Okay. Yeah. Well, so that there. That's what I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish they'd had that rule in basketball. Now, if you have a injury, of course, you got to document it and you got to send it in and this, that, and the other, and you can get the red shirt, but that wouldn't be the case here with him. So if you played him, he'd lose the whole year. You're not going to play him. He's not going to be ready to play against North Carolina when he hadn't hit the court all year to go play in a game like this.
Do we know what happened with him?
I don't. I can find out, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's been something that's bugged me all year. What happened to him, or did anything happen to him other than numbers? Because he committed a long time ago. I think he committed well over a year ago.
Yeah.
But anyway, hopefully the Tide will pull it together tonight.
Who are you picking? I hear everybody around here is picking Alabama. Do you really think Alabama's going to win this game, Philip?
Well, I'll put it to you like this. I have UNC making it to the Elite Eight on my brackets. Now, I think I think Alabama can win the game.
Well, sure they can win it.
UNC's competition to date in the tournament was Mississippi State. Alabama beat them twice, and then they played a Michigan State, a 14-loss Michigan State team. Alabama we beat Charleston and Grand Canyon. I don't know if they're worse than Michigan State or, I don't know. I'd like to know. It'd be interesting to me how they would fare against Michigan State. I think Alabama's got a great shot.
If Alabama loses this game, all right, everybody says we got to get to the Final Four. You're right. Alabama wants to get to the Final Four. Dad wanted to get to the Final 8. I wanted to get to the Final 16. But there's still going to be a really good program. South Carolina got to the Final Four. Did it change their program? No. They didn't even go back to the NCAA tournament for like 7 or 8 years after going to the Final Four. So it's not going to make or break your program because they got to the Final Four. Did they capitalize on it? It didn't. So Alabama already has a successful, great tradition. If they make it, great. If they don't, then they still have the same great tradition. They still hadn't gone there, but it's not anything to hang your head about, I guess is what I'm saying, Philip.
No, you're right. And Barry, you're right. I've never really thought about the South Carolina thing, especially when you juxtapose it to what Auburn did with the Final Four. Auburn marketed the hell out of the Final Four when they made it.
Yeah.
And it changed that whole place down there.
Yeah, and it's a good thing now. If they were to win these 2 games, this place will go insane. I saw it happen in Columbia. But that's just for this season. Then you got another season coming. You got to handle that as well. So, all right, Philip, go ahead.
Yeah, I think if Alabama made it to the Final Four, it would permanently change basketball at the University of Alabama for the better. It would be like the Auburn situation.
I think Alabama's going to be good whether they go or not, to be quite honest with you, because they're recruiting at a high level. Thank you, Philip.
See y'all.
All right, Dad, let's tell them about Bob Prince and Prince Glover and Hayes. We'll get to JC.
Prince Glover and Hayes, 345-1234, located in Tuscaloosa, but have been out throughout the Southeast helping people that end up with injuries, end up with accidents that shouldn't have been an accident. Sometimes people don't fix things the way they should fix them, and you're in that area and get hurt. Or sometimes people are after you on the highways. But regardless of what it is, you can visit with them on telephone, go by 701 Rice Mountain Road, visit with them, and they will tell you whether they feel like they can take your case. And if they do, they will represent you in an excellent way. These guys are smart, and they know what they're doing. So if you have that problem and you're mentally and physically confused as to what you need to do, call 345-1234, Prince Glover and Hayes.
PrinceLaw.net is the website. If they don't win, you don't.
With Audible, we could go anywhere. There's more to imagine when we listen. Hear the latest audiobooks, podcasts, and originals at audible.com.
Mr. SEC Tournament Wimp Sanderson gives you his excellent analysis every weekday on Inside the Locker Room, right here on Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. I want to thank Yellowwood for bringing you the 7 o'clock hour pressure-treated pine from Great Southern. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want it. As we roll through the morning, we'll get to our favorite guest of the week. JC Shurburtt, get to the Yellowwood hotline. He's the owner of thebigspur.com, several podcasts that he'll tell you about. He's also involved in NIL, Dad, so we can ask him NIL questions. Good morning, JC.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sandersons. Good to be with you today.
JC, this NIL, JC, this thing's out of hand. For Caden Proctor to be able to do what he did is wrong on a lot of levels. But I was telling Dad yesterday, I talked to a coach who's recruiting the portal. He calls the kid. The kid says, yes, I'm going to have some interest, but for now on, I'm going to ask you to go through my agency. So to recruit the kid, you got to go through his agency. Are you guys are you seeing this as well? Because now that we spent all the time trying to get the third-party people out of college athletics, and now we're pulling them in and making them be in, and they are getting involved in recruiting. Well, this thing is it's going to turn out bad, JC, when you have these people involved. Now it's just it's a bidding deal to find out who can get the most money, and these guys get a percentage. A lot of sleazy people out there, JC.
And some of the agents, they're good people.
Sure.
I prefer not to work with them. I think it's kind of silly for some of these guys to have agents. I think some probably need some sort of representation. If you're really high profile, Arch Manning would be an example.
Yeah.
But you got those guys usually that are on the upper echelons have the resources and guidance and interest from actual agents to go have something that is beneficial to them. What we see now is, because I don't even think there's any kind of, I mean, being an agent is kind of governed by state law, but some of these people, I have no idea, I mean, where they come from and what they are. I mean, I'd be surprised, number one, if anybody's investigating it, but number two, if these guys were certified or not, or gals, because some of them are just, I don't know who they are. So,
but they're the one talking to all the schools about the guy transferring, trying to go get the best deal for their client. Is that what we want in college athletics, JC?
No, I don't think you want the behind the scenes negotiations during the season and stuff. I'm not a big fan of that. That's not what college athletics is all about. It impacts the quality of the game. At some point, all this is going to. You're going to see just some terrible play because guys are distracted, more worried about money and everything else. I mean, we also have to keep in mind these are kids, and the fame of being a college athlete is pressure enough, but you throw money on top of it. I mean, look, man, how many child actors really grew up normal when they were famous at a young age? I think we do them a disservice with some of this stuff. I mean, and like I said, I don't mind guys getting paid, but let's be realistic, and let's not sit there and try to outsmart the market. Like you're Scott Boras, right? This is still college athletics, and some of these guys at some point are going to be told to go. They're going to get told to go jump in a hole. And just like with a couple of kids this year, they're going to end up at a lower level because, hey, surprise, surprise, your agent doesn't have a clue about your market value because he doesn't know much about it.
True. Good point.
Yeah, so there you go.
There you go. That.
Michie's leaving. Is he leaving? Is he good enough to? He said go pro, or is he mad about? They had a great year. Is he going to another school? What's his deal?
Michie's probably going home. He's from Ohio. Cleveland, and his dad's a high school basketball coach, and it got really tough for them to go watch Michie play this year. Because if you think about it, Coach, it's on a Friday night, and Cleveland to Columbia. I mean, how do you fly? I mean, it's tough to fly that. And I kind of think Ohio State was behind the scenes asking him if that's something he'd be interested in, and I'll never blame anybody for going home. I just, it's one of those things. And I think, in the portal, you can probably find somebody to play a two-guard. Maybe it's somebody that fits the system even a little better than Michie Johnson. It's tough to lose anybody that's good, obviously, but the portal give us and the portal take us away, right?
Yeah. I just want to get that answer.
Yeah. JC, Alabama has a great basketball tradition here. They've won a lot of SECs. They've been to a ton of Sweet 16s, only been past it one time. But a lot of people here say, you got to get to the Final Four to make this a legitimate program. South Carolina went to the Final Four. How long did it take them before they even went back to the NCAA tournament? Getting to the Final Four is great. But if Alabama doesn't do it, they still have a great tradition and a great program, and they're going to continue to be good. It's not the end all, is it? Because it didn't. What did it do for South Carolina when they finally made the Final Four? I mean, it was great during that time, and people were buzzing. But then you still got to recruit the next season and maybe those things help you. But they didn't seem to capitalize on it. Just talk about that. Does the Final Four change your program?
Some programs it does when you have the breakthrough. But then some programs can't get over the hump. It took Gonzaga how many years to get there? and now then they've been there twice, and they can't win the whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't think Purdue. Correct me if I'm wrong. Purdue has never been.
Not sure.
Think about that.
Yeah,
how many years they've been number one seeds? They have never been the Final Four, and I think that holds them back. But you know, for South Carolina to make it, I mean, look, Auburn capitalized on theirs. You know, I mean, they've been pretty steady ever since. Of course, Bruce Pearl's a little bit different animal than Frank Martin, and I think largely, if he ever leaves Auburn, they're gonna have a tough time replacing him with somebody to keep it going. But you know, and look at LSU. How many times have they been to the Final Four? And their program goes up and down like a roller coaster. It's like they'll hire somebody, he'll start winning, they may go to the Final Four, somebody gets caught cheating, and so they go away for a while.
Yeah.
And then they come back. You know, that's the LSU basketball in a nutshell. But, you know, so I mean, LSU's obviously been a bunch. And, you know, Houston, who's back, you know, as a program, between Phi Slama Jama and now with Kelvin Sampson, all those Final Fours didn't help them escape the wilderness. It didn't help NC State from dropping off for a while, you know, and they still aren't a powerhouse. So, you know, it just depends on who you are. I think for some programs, and if you look at Alabama, that's the natural progression. And Tennessee, I'll throw Tennessee in there too, because you look at the history of the league behind Kentucky, really going way back, Tennessee and Bama have been right there, you know, with Florida making a late push like they did. And, you know, that's the pockets. You know, Georgia went to a Final Four in I think when Dominique Wilkins was playing for them. Hugh Durham was coaching there, I think. That didn't help them. So, you know, Georgia Tech going twice hadn't, you know, prevented a backslide. So, but I do think with where Bama's at right now with Nate Oates and the winning they've been doing, it is a logical next step. Is it life or death? No. They're still going to be really good next year, I believe. So, but at some point, you know, when you go over and over and over again, I think the expectation is that you get there.
Yeah.
Anything with South Carolina football we ought to know? I know former football coach at Alabama is coming over as an analyst who I like a great deal. I think he'll be a very good analyst.
Yeah, he knows quarterbacks really well. I thought, when he was at Bama, I thought he did a good job with the quarterback situation. You know, they're kind of plugging away. The big thing is they've avoided injuries so far this spring. I think that's something that, you know, has bitten the program a little bit. They have more depth. They added a lot of linemen from the transfer portal on both sides, including a kid from Alabama on defense that's looking pretty good so far. So, you know, when I look at the two deep, this is going to be a deeper football team, especially on the defensive side of the ball and at running back where they really had nobody last year. You know, I think the season's probably going to come down to number one. How good can Lenore Sellers be at quarterback? I think really good. Other people that cover the sport maybe think he's going to need a year. I don't agree with that. And then can Rocket Sanders get healthy and get back to close to where he was in 2022? I mean, people don't realize that guy rushed for almost 1,500 yards at Arkansas and caught passes for like 300 yards receiving. I mean, he could be a special player if he can get healthy. So those are the two keys there as I look down the road for the football program.
Alabama, when Kalen DeBoer got here, the question was, will they be able to recruit? You're going to recruit good at Alabama, JC. It's Alabama. I mean, when you walk in, you got their attention immediately. They've been getting some commitments here lately. They got Caden Proctor coming back. I don't think recruiting is going to be a problem here with him and his staff. Do you, JC?
No, I think they'll recruit just fine. I think, you know, when you kind of look at like how is Kalen DeBoer similar to Nick Saban in recruiting? Because you go, well, wait a minute. DeBoer had, the 65th ranked class. And Saban had how many number one classes? Well, they're swimming in different pools, you know, and your idea is when you're swimming in the B pool, you get enough A swimmers that should be in the A pool, and then you go beat the team in the A pool. You know, that's the idea. Now, so what did Nick Saban do very well? And I've said this for a long time. It's not that Alabama just looked at the list of 5 stars and took all the 5 stars. It's that Alabama decided which ones to take.
Yes.
And who was actually cut through the BS, who is actually good. And there are probably more 4- and 5-star players that did not have a committable offer from Alabama at the end of the day than did. So how's DeBoer similar? It's a great evaluator of talent. So he's swimming in an A pool. So why can't that continue? Is my thing with all the resources that are in place at Bama and, the history and tradition and the best program in college football the last 15 years. So that sells itself in a lot of ways. So I don't really see any drop off there. The thing is, Nick Saban's methods and the process and all that fed that consistency. That's going to be the question long term. I think they'll be super talented every year. They'll be in the hunt every year. Are they going to be able to avoid the down year? Because Saban certainly did avoid the 8-4, 8-5, like you see LSU slip to sometimes, or like Auburn gets stuck in sometimes. Those programs recruit well too. So that's going to be the question right there. Can you avoid that? That's what Kirby's doing at Georgia. There's no, like Rick had some seasons where he would go 7-6. Kirby's not doing that right now. So that's what keeps that program going. So can DeBoer avoid in this new SEC the 8-4 Outback Bowl team that everybody flips out about?
That and JC, can y'all imagine if you were working for Nick Saban and you walked in there and he said, "I want recruiting so we need to talk to the parents," and you walked in and the coach said, "Well, you got to talk to his representative. You got to talk to his agent." Telling Nick Saban that, can you imagine going in and what would his reaction?
I think that's already happened a little bit.
What would his reaction have been? And I think that was one of the things, JC, that drove him out of here when he had his team meetings. It wasn't about, what do I need to do to get better to get to the NFL? It's like, am I going to start? And I need more NIL money. I think once he heard those two things, he was like, I think I'm getting too old for this.
I'll tell you what his reaction would be. He'd tighten his lips. He'd let out a sigh, a slight sigh. There'd be an awkward silence. He'd look at the floor, and he'd look back up and go, "Well," and then he'd go from there. I think that's exactly what his reaction
would be. How good is he? You'll probably do anything for a great player, though, won't you, JC? But I think the culture there, when people weren't worried about getting better and weren't talking about team things, I think he just said, "Man, this is probably not it's not going to turn back, and it's probably not the direction I want to go. So it's time to let somebody else do it."
Yeah, and Alabama's. I think here's the thing too. Alabama, the one thing that struck me during the transition was they do have a core of solid citizens there that care about the program. That there's a bunch of them that literally just said, "Hey, well, we're just going to stick with it. We'll keep winning. We're Alabama." I think that's very helpful to any new coach when you have returning guys that buy in, and that to them it's more about the name on the front of the jersey or the helmet, if you will, than your individual performance. And so I think when you recruit a lot of talented guys, you're going to have some me guys. That's just how it is. But from what I've noticed, there's a good core group there for Kalen DeBoer to work with that I don't see them having any problems with that.
Yeah. Back to basketball, Clemson. When Clemson played Alabama here, I thought they were really, really good. I'm not shocked at all. They're out in L.A. in the Sweet 16. They take on Arizona tonight. The winner of that game plays the winner of the North Carolina Alabama game. Just talk about Clemson's chances tonight against Arizona.
Well, they don't match up as well with Arizona as I thought they did with Baylor and New Mexico. I thought the New Mexico hype was off the train tracks. I mean, I know the guy's name is Patino, and I know they have a Mashburn on their team, but this ain't 1996, and that's not Kentucky.
That's right.
And I knew, because everybody picked that upset, and I knew Clemson's much better than they played. They got bounced early in the ACC tournament. Brad Burnell can coach. I think we know that. And they were like, look, we're going to go out here and clear our heads, rediscover ourselves. I think the other thing we're finding out is the ACC, for the second straight year, the talking heads and the stupid numbers, the net, which is the most insane thing. I call it HAL, like that computer from 2001. HAL sits there and there's this preconceived notion the ACC's bad. Well, for the second straight year, you got multiple teams from that league streaking through the tournament. I mean, how does that make any sense? So I don't think the ACC was as bad, and I thought they matched up pretty well with Baylor and with New Mexico. Arizona's a different animal. I got to watch a lot of their game against Dayton. They toyed with Dayton. Dayton's a good basketball team, and they'd cut it 6, 7, 8, and then Arizona go back on a run. It's going to be tough out in LA, where I think Arizona will have a home court advantage.
Oh,
but
yes, they will.
I'm not gonna sit there and say Clemson's dead in the water yet, though, because I'm with you. They were too good in December, and they've done too many good things. I mean, you're talking about a team that won in Chapel Hill for only the second time ever. You're talking about a team that had Duke beat, a bad call, beat them in Cameron. They beat South Carolina. They beat Alabama in the non-conference. I mean, I just, I wouldn't. I expect probably, I don't know what the spread is off the top of my head. I expect a closer game.
It's 7.5, which seems high to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it may go right down the wire.
Yeah. Deb?
Well, the football playoffs, when we go in, looks like we're going from 12 to 14 before we've ever played. Is that good for the teams that get the first round buys? I've been on some shows. They think it's a long time before they get to play. You know what? Go ahead.
Well, no, I get you, Coach. I think they should have gone to 16 because I think people are and look, nobody cares about fans and all this. And people, one day they're going to start realizing that, yes, TV is great, but if nobody's tuning in and people stop caring, and it'll take 100 years. I mean, it'll take years for that to happen. But some of this stuff's getting old. I mean, you're talking about a situation as a fan. Just look at it as a fan. Say Georgia plays Bama in the Dome, and Georgia wins. Okay, so you're an Alabama fan. You're actually kind of fired up because guess what? Next week, or 2 weeks, 10 days from then, you're going to get together with your buddies in Lot D or wherever at Bryant-Denny Stadium, and you're going to get to cook a low country boil or smoke a hog or whatever and drink beer and go enjoy the magic of a college football Saturday or Friday watching your favorite team at home. That is a huge reward. And that goes to the losing team. The winning team has to go book tickets to Pasadena or Phoenix or Miami or wherever the heck else. So I didn't get that. I don't get that. I think the reverse of it is they're trying to continue to incentivize, winning conference championships. Well, that's an easy fix. The reward is you're definitely getting a home game, or the number one seed, and you're probably going to be matched up with a group of 5 team or whatever, which is essentially a bye. So I didn't really get to go to 14. I think they're overthinking it. It's one more game to add if you go to 16, and then everybody gets a home game in the first round. And I think eventually you're going to hear some brushback from boosters and fans about these home games, and they will go to 16. 14 didn't make much sense to me.
Yeah. All right, JC, tell everybody, lastly, before you go, North Carolina, Alabama tonight. The line is 4.5. Can the Tide beat the Tar Heels? It's going to be tough, isn't it?
If they're hot shooting, they can beat anybody in the country. But they got to play defense. Obviously, North Carolina basketball is never boring. So I'm expecting a very exciting game tonight. The answer is yeah. They can beat anybody they want. I mean, Alabama's just had some games this year where it just hadn't worked out. But it will be tough. But I think the fact that we didn't have as many top seeds go down, we didn't have any top seeds go down first 2 rounds. That sort of, history shows us, that sort of opens them up for more upsets as we move forward into the Sweet 16 and Elite 8. So I don't know who I'd pick. I'm probably not going to pick it until later, but I expect a very close, exciting basketball game tonight.
Tell everybody where they can find you.
All right, download the Chief Sports Network app. We've got JC and Morgan on there. Had a great conversation with Tim Brando this week. Also, a good conversation with Dan Wetzel, where Dan actually mentions the fact that there could be some schools kicked out of power conferences. So that was a great conversation. That was our second to last episode. So go check that out, JC and Morgan, jcmorgan.com. Download it on Spotify or wherever you get podcasts.
Thank you, JC.
Thanks, JC.
Thanks, fellas. Y'all be good.
You're good. All right, we'll take this break. Open up the phone lines, 205-342-9904. We'll continue to talk about basketball tonight. Pete Chilcutt will join us at 8:15. Listen, Tide 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC is the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Two separate problem spots for eastbound 2059 drivers. The first one you become accustomed to. They're doing more of the road work today between Joe Malisham and the 359. Right now, the right lane is being blocked. Left lane is all that's getting through. The much bigger problem.
See if it makes sense for your business.
Go to townsquarelocal.com for a free demo of the Townsquare Business Management Platform. Visit townsquarelocal.com. That's townsquarelocal.com.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental-car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance.
Apply a Mobile One or a $100 gift card.
Never been so excited for an oil change.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. No purchase necessary. Terms at AutoZone.com. Ends 5/27/24.
Alabama fans are all over the world, and we are too. Download the Tide 100.9 app right now in the App Store and Google Play, and take the Crimson Tide everywhere you go.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. Dale, what do you think Coach Saban would say if you walked in there and said, yeah, well, Mama's not going to talk to you. You're going to have to talk to the kid's representative. Would he? I guess he'd have done it, though. If he wanted to recruit the kid, what would he have done in that situation?
Oh, I think he just said we don't usually do something like that, but for your case, we'll do it and walk out there mad.
Yeah, and think, what in the world am I doing?
Well, those are the reasons you gave, that 2 or 3 of the reasons. Most of the time when he comes back after a loss or something, his team, he's excited about the team being better the next year. And visiting with his players, he didn't feel that way. He felt like it was what we're going to get. I'm not sure where our leadership is. Just several things, and he's of age that he's had enough, and also he's retiring on a good note. I mean, he's beating Georgia every time he can beat him, and he just is. He's retiring on a good note. Everybody thinks he's great, and everybody's it's a good note to retire on.
All right, I'm throwing this question out. We'll go to Bray. I want you guys to answer when we get back. If you go to the 12 or 14 team playoff, which they're going to, does that make it harder or easier to win a national championship? I want y'all to give me your answers when we get back. I'll ask you and Justin. If you guys want to call 205-342-9904. If I go to 12 and 14, harder or easier to win a national championship adding that many teams? You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of
Deal, or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511.
All pets are unique. Your pet's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply. Studies available upon request.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
It's Major League Baseball's opening day, although there have been a couple of games already postponed because of rain. Mets hosting the Brewers and Phillies hosting the Braves. Not going to happen tonight, but 13 other games on the schedule, including the World Series champion Texas Rangers opening up at home against the Chicago Cubs. Busy night in the NBA where the Nuggets, the defending champs, top team in the West, lose at home to the Suns 104-97. Kevin Durant, 30 points and 13 rebounds for Phoenix. That opened the door for Minnesota and Oklahoma City to gain ground on Denver in that Western Conference race. Timberwolves take advantage with a 106-91 win over the Pistons, so Minnesota's a half game back of Denver for the top record in the West. Thunder lose at home to the Rockets, 132-126 in overtime. Oklahoma City remains a half game back of Denver. Houston has won 10 in a row. Clippers edge the 76ers 108-107. Lakers beat the Grizzlies 136-124.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A good supply of sunshine today, the high 67. Clear and cool tonight, the low 40. Tomorrow and Saturday, the warming trend continues. A good supply of sunshine both days. The high tomorrow is 72, the high Saturday in the upper 70s at 78. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 44 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to the second hour of Inside the Locker Room. My Allstate insurance agent is Andrew Kniffer, and let him become yours. He is 4705 McFarland Boulevard, Suite 3 over in Norport. You're looking for home, life, auto. You want somebody that knows the area when you have insurance, because when you have a problem, guess what? You're going to need somebody in this area, and he knows this area inside and out, so that's a great help to me. Let it be for you. 205-722-9201. Andrew Kniffer, Allstate Insurance. All right, before we went to break, they're going to 12, then to 14. It's been 4. Well, it was 2, then it went to 4, and Alabama's won some national championships there. Is it easier to win?
Question.
Yeah, let me ask the question again. Is it easier to win? Make it harder or easier to win the national championship when you go to 12 or 14 teams? Dad, you go first.
No, it's not even close. It makes it much harder. And the reason for that is that the more games you play, the more injuries you get, the more problems that you have, the more everything that you have, the more different kinds of teams that you play, the less time that you have to get ready. There's no comparison in playing a bunch of games trying to win a national championship than playing 2.
Okay. Justin, you got a thought on it?
Yeah, I agree. You introduce more variables.
So you think it makes it harder?
Yeah, I think it does.
All right. I agree and I disagree. I think it makes it harder for Alabama. But in order to win it, you got to get in it. And so I think it gives Ole Miss and Tennessee and Auburn an opportunity to get in it because they're not getting in it when it's only 4. So you can't win it if you're not in it. So I think it makes it easier for those teams, the Alabamas and the Georgias and the Ohio States who are getting there anyway. It probably makes it harder for them. Would you guys agree to that?
I do, yeah.
I think it gives Ole Miss a chance. Now, they're not getting in the Final Four if it's just 4. But they can get in 12. They can get in there 12. They're knocking on the door of that right now.
Even a longer shot like Liberty or somebody like that.
I mean, if you don't get in it, you're never going to win it. So you got to get in it to win. All right, get to the Andrew Kniffer hotline. Get Tom in. Good morning, Tom.
Morning, Barry. Morning, Coach. How are y'all this morning?
We're hanging in there.
Do we ever get sick of talking about football?
Yeah.
We
don't talk about it that much, but I don't like listening to it.
Every second of the day?
Yeah.
I mean, we're in the middle of a run in the Final Four tournament. And you've been nothing but negative. Coach says Alabama's got a good chance to win this game tonight. Oh, it'll be hard.
It is going to be hard.
And then Reitzel, he's not going to play. We over here praying to the Lord that he'll be healed.
All right, Tom, let me ask you this. If I said, all right, Tom, I'm going to give you $25,000, but you got to get this question right.
I'll pay my bills off. Never mind about the ball game.
Is Reitzel going to play? You got to get it right.
I don't gamble. I'm
going to give you $25,000 if you got it right. What would you say?
How about this for the height of hypocrisy? Okay, somebody told me that there was ads running at all the sites of the tournament about let's keep the sport of basketball pure. Let's don't bet on prop bets. Let's don't bet on the game. Gambling is making it. Have you heard about this?
Yeah.
I've heard the NCAA is trying, in which they need to.
Is that the absolute height of hypocrisy? Let's keep the game pure, but let's remove all the rules that govern the game to keep it going in a good direction. But no, we're going to tell you what to do with your money. don't you dare gamble because you're going to mess with the purity of the game. Can you believe that we hear what we hear in the United States? You asked me yesterday about Russia. I said Russia can't be no worse than this place.
I do agree that they got to take out the prop bets. That's too easy to. When you can prop bet on Mark Sears and, all those things, that happened in the NBA. Guy just got sick and took himself out, and all of a sudden he didn't hit any of those. That's easy to manipulate there. So the NCAA is trying to get that out of the game.
Again, it's the horse out of the barn, is it not?
It's out. It's out running.
That's right. I mean, and now you're going to go back. Oh, we decided that the purity of the game is at stake now. Yeah. After we've done this, now we're going to say something about it. I don't get it, Barry. It's really frustrating. It's almost as bad as your negativity about Alabama.
All right, Tom, is it easier or harder to win the national championship at 12 or 14 teams?
I think, in my opinion, it would be harder because you got to play more games, don't you?
Yeah, but if you don't get in it, you can't win it.
That's the phrase of the day. I've heard it 50 times since we came back from break. If you ain't in it, you can't win it. Who are you, Muhammad Ali?
Well, do you think it makes it harder for Ole Miss?
Oh, yeah. It makes it harder for everybody. You got to play
Ole
more
Miss
games.
is never getting in it, though. If it's 4.
Oh, you talking about is it easier to get in or to win the championship?
No, to win it. But if you're not in it, you're going to win it. Ole Miss
I get that part. If I don't get anything else the rest of the day, I get if you're not in it, you can't win it. I get that.
So
I love the show, though. I'll tell y'all that.
Well, you love my negativity.
Who?
You call it negativity when I say it's going to be tough for Alabama to win? That's being negative.
Everybody else is scared to death to call you out on it. I'm not.
Well, how's that being negative, or is that being honest? It is going to be a tough game.
Well, I'm of the ilk that, positive thinking may help Wrightsville get well and come in and shoot a bunch of threes. That's what I'm thinking. And if you're up here going negative, like, oh, he ain't going to play.
I said it's going to be hard for him to play because I don't think there's enough time to clear concussion protocol.
I know. You're being logical. That don't work with me.
Okay. All right, Alabama's going to make every shot tonight. They're not going to miss a shot.
Now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, they're going to win 100. They're going to win 100-50. Is that what you mean?
I like it.
Okay.
Yes, I like it. You're on time for one.
What's your life savings on Alabama minus 4.5?
Oh, I won't take but like 15 cents.
Yeah,
all right.
So, all right. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. See you.
Thank you.
I don't know. Is that being negative by saying it's going to be a tough game?
Yeah, it'll be a tough game. You're right.
Who do you give Clemson any chance against Arizona tonight?
I sure do.
You know why?
I don't like Arizona.
Here's the problem for Clemson, and you know this better than me. Arizona will take that crypto arena over. They will have so many fans in there.
Right.
They'll have 10,000 fans in there. I don't know what it seats, but they'll have 10,000. They have a rabid fan base, right? Especially out there on the West Coast. Easy for them to get to L.A. They'll have the home. It'll be a home court advantage for them on it out in crypto arena.
It will, and that's important. Yeah, that's important. I think really.
San Diego State minus 11.5 or Connecticut minus 11.5 against San Diego State. UConn, that big kid they got, he is humongous. They're tough. They handle the ball. They pass it. They're physical. I don't give San Diego State any chance in this game.
No, I don't know about the line, but I don't give them any chance. No.
The other one, Illinois, I think is really good. Ben, I don't know about this game. Illinois, Iowa State, who's really good too. Tough coaches, tough physical teams. Obviously, Vegas thinks the same. The line, Iowa State's a 1.5 point favorite. They also travel. This game's in Boston. So I think they'll both have good crowds there because they both fan bases travel. Can you call this one? This is probably the best game of the night.
Yeah, probably is the best one. I'm going to lean a little bit towards Iowa State. I don't know about the line, but I just Iowa State goes in there and beats Houston the way they did. Iowa State's pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought maybe they might be the fourth number one.
Iowa State?
I thought they might.
Well, they beat Houston so bad, a banged-up Houston team in the finals of the Big 12 tournament.
They were banged up, you're right.
Iowa State, they guard you. That guy's done a really good job there. And you talk about a fan base now. They got one.
I went out there and did a game one time, and they got some kind of – they got a great fan base. I enjoyed going out there and watching.
Yeah. All right, we'll take the break here. We'll get Peter Chilcutt in. We'll talk to Peter about his days at North Carolina, his days in Tuscaloosa. We'll find out what kind of recruiter you are. Was Alabama second in that? I guess, does it matter who came in second, Justin?
Crap, no, it don't matter to me who came in second. I worked too hard to get him.
Does it matter who comes in second, Justin, when in recruiting? I guess it does now.
I'll let you discuss it with him. I'm not going to.
With the transfer portal, I guess it does matter who comes because they might transfer. Royal Cleaners, they want to make your life easy. They'll come right to you, pick up all the cleaning, get it cleaned up, deliver it right back to you. If you want to drop off University Boulevard, Bridge Avenue in Northport, or 4851 Rice Mine Road. You got those beautiful golf shirts. Don't throw those in the laundry. Those things are well worth over $100-something bucks. Let Royal handle it. 205-391 0034 Royal Cleaners for all your cleaning needs. You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Life is slowly getting better, particularly for eastbound drivers on 2059. The first problem you're going to encounter is around the Joe Malisham 359 area. They're still doing the road work. Left lane blocked, right lane is passable, but just a minimal backup there. Now, further east in the Coaling area, we still have
A national nonprofit offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
Years ago, Jimmy Rain decided that the best way to advertise Great Southernwood was through coaches. Gene Stallings, Pat Dye, Steve Spurrier, and myself, and many more coaches took to the radio and TV airwaves to tell people that if you're building outdoors, the only way to build is with pressure-treated pine, yellow wood. It is the very, very best. Why? Because all the coaches said yellow wood, pressure-treated pine, protects against bug, termite, and weather. Decking, fencing, play sets, whatever you're wanting to build, just go to the internet. Look.
Dollar giveaway at Birmingham Racecourse Casino. Drawings April 5th and 6th. Located off I-459, exit 31, Derby Parkway. Must be 21 or older, must be present to win.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance and is backed by an entire team of people you know and trust. Rent a Toyota and let's go places. Reserving yours is a breeze at TuscaloosaToyota.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A good supply of sunshine today, the high 67. Clear and cool tonight, the low 40. Tomorrow and Saturday, the warming trend continues. A good supply of sunshine both days. The high tomorrow 72, the high Saturday in the upper 70s at 78. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 46 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. All right, we get right up to the Yellowwood Hotline. I didn't realize Pete Chilcutt was born on September 14th. I'm 15th, but I'm a year older than him. But he's from Tuscaloosa. Obviously went to Tuscaloosa Academy, went on to be a great player at the University of North Carolina, great career in the NBA. I think he's actually doing some radio now for the Tar Heels. Pete Chilcutt. Good morning, Pete. How are you?
Hey, Pete. Good morning.
Hey, Barry. How are you? Hey, Coach. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good.
Sure.
How are you?
Thank you.
Are you traveling back to Alabama today?
I am leaving in about an hour and a half, heading back to, my mom still lives down there in Utah, Alabama. I got brothers and sisters down there. We're going to spend Easter down there and hopefully be celebrating during Easter. We'll find out a little bit later today.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dap.
Well, I certainly enjoyed recruiting you, and sorry we couldn't get you. Can you hear me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. I say I enjoyed recruiting you. I'm sorry we couldn't get you, but one of those things in recruiting, sometimes you win some, lose some, but we worked hard on you. And I know you've had a great career. Talk a little bit about, I'll let Barry ask you why you didn't come rather than me. But talk a little bit about your career at North Carolina.
Well, thanks, Coach. You know what? I'll just jump right to it. It had nothing to do with you or Alabama why I didn't go there. There was a certain guy that I watched in about 8th or 9th grade named Michael Jordan on ESPN, and he just got me hooked on that light blue. And it was hard to get over that. And it's like a dream as a kid that I had. And when I got that opportunity, it was something I really wanted to do, and it really did work out. But you guys had an amazing run during that time. You were an amazing coaching recruiter, and it would have been probably worked out just as well at either place. But I'm pretty happy with my decision. At Carolina, it was tough, going against some of those blue blood players and coming into that program. I had a lot of growing and growth to do with my game. And I think I was in the right place to do that with Coach Smith. And it was just an honor to go through that program and get better. I had no dreams at all about playing in the NBA until about my junior year, and I kind of realized I was getting up and better, that I could maybe do that. I just loved the game, Coach, and I just wanted to play, and then I found out I could play a little longer, and I made a nice 9-year career out of the NBA, and in the end, it all works out. Sure. I love Alabama still. My stepdad was a professor at Alabama for 20-plus years. I got a lot of connections there. Yeah, a lot of connections there, and we often joke about my mom and I about the phone calls we used to get from Rick Barnes and in that recruiting process. It was a great time, and I sure do love Alabama. And as I mentioned, I go back there all the time.
I remember Dean Smith flew in. I was like, "Ooh, that's not good," when he came in. But Dean Smith, obviously a Hall of Fame coach, came in. You're going from Tuscaloosa Academy to North Carolina. Just talk about what it was like to play for Dean Smith and what kind of coach he was.
Well, he was a very obviously established coach when I got there. He had kind of gone through his trials and tribulations a little bit early, but he got to be pretty dang good. When I was being recruited by him, he was very focused on individual players. And for me, when he came to visit my house, it was one thing, but I came back from another visit. I think I visited Georgia Tech, and he mentioned, and I mentioned to my mom, but I think I like Georgia Tech. Well, Coach Smith heard about that, and he came by. He made a special visit to Tuscaloosa Academy and visited me during school one day. And again, just a quality man, and the stuff he taught me off the court was just as important as the stuff he taught me on the court. And one of the biggest things I'm proud of is that I never did not play in a game at Carolina. I played in 140 games, and that's the kind of stuff I needed as a player to develop. A lot of times you get into situations where you don't get a chance to develop, and Coach Smith developed his players and developed me and made me the best player I could have been. And he's just probably one of the biggest and best influences in my life that I've ever had.
Talk about Jaron Stevenson. He's a kid that grew up 10 minutes from North Carolina. He probably is going to have some of the same feelings you had when you came back here and you played Alabama, although they're not playing the game in Chapel Hill. But here's a North Carolina kid that grew up 10 minutes from the school, probably thinking he may go there. He's not. He's an Alabama player now. What kind of emotions does he go through tonight in this game?
Well, from my own experience, that's quite an emotional event because when you're playing against a team that's from your home area, it just means a lot. You want to prove a lot to people. You want to prove a lot to yourself, to your family, to the fans, to the coaches where you didn't go. I'm sure you guys would like to remember that we came through Alabama in 1990 on the way back, I think from Hawaii. You guys laid one on us there, and it's tough. It's tough to lose those games. It's tough to play in those games. I would imagine that he's going to be up, and he'll be a plus for Bama tonight because just because of that, he'll have some emotions flowing and probably play one of his best games.
Yeah.
Going to the pros, tell our listeners who you played for, what you did there.
Again, somehow the Lord gave me the ability. I was a last pick of the first round, and this is coming from a redshirt player who wasn't good enough to play my freshman year. So I made it to the last pick of the first round by the Sacramento Kings. Played 9 years. I played for 7 teams. The highlights would have been the Houston Rockets in 95 and 96. We won that championship in 95. One of the things I'm really proud of is just the longevity, because it's hard to get in the league, but it's really hard to stay in the league. And I played with some really good players over the time. You know, some Olajuwon, some Clyde Drexler, some Karl Malone, Isaiah Thomas, some really good Bama guys I played with, Robert Ory and Roy Rogers up in Vancouver. Just quality people throughout the league that I played with, and relationships I built, and you just learn how to be a professional at that level, because nothing else matters besides what you're doing for your work. And again, that's what I'm kind of proud of, that I did make it 9 years. Of course, I wanted to make it more, but at some point, the age catches up with you, and you have to move on in your life. But those are the highlights. Again, 7 teams, 9 years. Just something I'm very proud of, because of where I started out from a small little country boy down there in Utah, Alabama.
Where are you living? Where are you living now?
I'm out here in Raleigh, right near Chapel Hill. My daughter came over to Carolina a couple years ago, and we figured out that was a good chance to come back to the area. My wife's from Sacramento, California. She had hijacked me out there for 20 plus years, and we raised our kids out there. And it can't be a terrible place that much, just because our kids turned out so well. But I sure am happy to be back on this side of the country.
Yeah.
We're talking with Pete Chilcutt. Tell us about this North Carolina team tonight, Alabama, North Carolina. It seems a shame that they're playing all the way out in Los Angeles, that it wasn't back here in the South where people could get there easier. But obviously got a great scorer inside Baycott. R.J. Davis is really good. Let's talk about this version of this North Carolina team.
Yeah, it is must-see TV, and I mean, I think these two teams, they play so similar that it's going to be so entertaining. Carolina really does like to push the tempo, and I was listening to you guys a little bit this morning, and I know Bama does, and it's going to be a battle of kind of, can we continue to push it while also doing what we also like to do, which is play defense and lock down on the defensive end. What we strive on is pushing the ball and getting the ball through Baycott or through Harrison Ingram down low, and then working back out to our shooters. We got, obviously, R.J. Davis, who's had a fantastic year, but we got Cormac Ryan, who can hit some threes. We got, again, Harrison Ingram. We got guys off the bench who come in and play some defense. My biggest concern as looking at this game is not the pace as much. Most teams, when you get out and you can run up and down with them and you can get back and get in front of them, well, they don't go ahead and shoot it. But Bama put some shots up, boy. I mean, they get a lot of shots up, and that could be a great thing. It also not to be so great, but the thing is, when Bama's hitting those shots, it can put a lot of pressure on that defense. And so that's my concern, is keeping up with the pace, but also just making sure we get them to take some tough shots and then get some rebounds and get back out and run ourselves. But we are built this year a little differently than in the past. Our defense is kind of back to the Coach Smith levels and Coach Williams levels. We're really getting after it defensively. Offensively, we still want to push it like we always do, but I think we're able to lock down a little bit better than we have been in the past. And rebounding is not as good as it used to be, because we're playing that dang, almost 4-around-1 where we used to play those two big guys and get all those rebounds. But it's a little tougher now to control those boards. But we're kind of a little bit of a throwback team in that sense. We do rebound well. We shoot pretty good. We probably need another guy to come up and step up tonight, because I think you guys mentioned this is going to be a high scoring game. It may be in the 90s. Definitely going to be in the 80s. We're going to need some scoring tonight from other people.
How deep is this North Carolina team, Pete? I look and I see, I think 7 guys averaging double-figure minutes. You got a couple guys averaging 8. How many guys will they play?
Yeah, they're going to play. They're going to play pretty much 8. I think maybe 8, maybe more with some foul trouble. They go to that bench fairly early. They just don't leave those guys in extended minutes. At some point, you sometimes question that, but then you're like, the way I was explained to me was, well, it's Armando Baycott. Like, you want to leave him on the bench, so we're going to get some subs in there for him when he gets tired, and a little bit of subs for RJ. But the guys off the bench, Jalen Washington, Seth Trimble, guys like that come in. Jalen Withers has been playing extremely well lately. Those kind of guys coming in will give you some spot minutes, and that's not going to say if they come in and make an impact, coach will leave them in for sure. But it is a 7-8 man rotation. But we've leaned heavily on these guys. We've given them a little bit more rest we have maybe last year, but again, tonight may be a different beast. I think that pace is going to be something that we have to be very careful about tonight.
Yeah, that.
Well, I think the fact that people have beaten Alabama when they've run off the 3-point line. I don't know a lot about your defense. I haven't watched you that much, but I think one of the keys for you would be to at least to really contest the 3-point shots or run them off the 3-point line. Tennessee ran them off twice, or at least once. You've talked about their offense. How good can this team be? This North Carolina team be defensively?
Well, when they're locked in, they are really good. I think we've been our best games this year have been both games against Duke. They have a trio of shooters that shoot 40+%, and we were able to kind of get them off the line a lot. But some of the games where we're not doing as well is we're not doing that as well, and we're getting some trouble with some guys hitting some shots. Also some off the pick and roll, and I think we're at this time of the season where we're hopefully that stuff's behind us. The best thing about the Sweet 16 is you should be dialed into what you're doing, but the problem is every other team should be too. So I mean, that's where I don't have any kind of comfortable feeling about tonight. This is going to be a dogfight, and if one of these teams comes out hot, it's going to be a hard task for their team to kind of get in their mode and try to slow them down. Defensively, we hope to be able to do what you mentioned, run them off the line, rebound. But again, I mean, Bama's a little different beast because you can run them off the line, but they can still score. I mean, you guys, I was not watching all the games this year, but I saw a bunch of scores from you guys' games, and you guys were putting up a lot of points. So scoring is not a problem for these teams tonight.
Mark Sears, we're talking Pete Chilcutt. Mark Sears is really good, great driver. He's left-handed. He gets downhill with that left hand, but he also shoots the three well. I know Carolina in the past, when you played, I hadn't followed them as closely. They used to run and double a lot, run and double the dribbler, double the first pass to the wing. Do they still do those things? Can you see them doubling Mark Sears tonight to get the ball out of his hands?
They don't do that, Coach, as much on those. They used to run some more of the traps on the first pass. They don't do the first pass trapping. I think these days the shooters are too good to do that, but I think what they will do is they'll double sometimes that pick and roll. So if there's a high pick and roll, we don't start that way, but I think with a player like you mentioned, like Sears or any of those guys that they get hot, they may start doing some more doubling. We don't do a lot of doubling in the post, but we do some of that doubling off the pick and roll. I was looking at the stats a little bit. You guys have shot almost 200 more threes than Carolina, so there's going to be a lot of opportunities, and we got to find a way to take away some of those because whether it's doubling or pre-rotating or something, because when you live by the three and you're good at it, that's something you got to obviously factor in.
Yep.
I don't have anything. That's great. I enjoyed listening to what he had to say.
Pete, we're talking with Pete Chilcutt. Now, everybody always calls him bragging on Dad. He's never wrong. I'm always wrong on the show for some reason. Tell us, what kind of recruiter was he? I know he worked really hard on trying to get
good enough.
Well, it's hard to turn North Carolina down. Now, let's be honest. Like Alabama football. What kind of recruiter was he, Peter?
Well, the first thing I'll say, Barry, is the proof is in the pudding. And if you look at the rosters, or look at the guys that he put in the league, and I mean, I'm a fan from Enos Watley, Bobby Lee Hurt, Buck Johnson. I mean, that's how far I go back, and I'm sure there's a lot more I'm probably not even remembering. But through that stretch, through the 90s, I mean, the team that beat us in Chapel Hill, and then we beat the next year. Beat us in Tuscaloosa, and we beat them the next year in Chapel Hill. Those were really good teams, full of really good players, and you don't get those players by accident. Coach Sanderson was an amazing recruiter. Obviously, he had a program to sell in a football state, and he did a darn good job of it. And I think now when you talk about Alabama, you got to consider that that's a school that not only is on top of the game with football, but it's because of basketball. And it started with Coach Sanderson, and I don't think you can get around that anyway. And I think you guys have an outstanding coach now as well with Oates. I like the direction he's going in, but you usually talk about coaches at universities, and you usually pick out one or two that kind of gave you the foundation for their identity. And I think Coach Sanderson is that for Alabama. There's not even a doubt. And recruiting is a big part of that. And when you have a coach that wants you there in a school as promising as good as Alabama, it makes a good fit, and they had a great fit when those guys were together.
Yeah, just talk about that one game coming back. I think that was part of Dean Smith's deal in recruiting, that he would try to take you back as close as he could to home to play over your 4 years. Most of the time guys stayed 3 and 4 years, and guys weren't going out as early. But just talk about that coming back. And was that something that Coach Smith promised to recruits in the recruiting process?
Yeah, absolutely. It probably won't work these days with these guys not even being around, but that was one of the things that he was going to. He always tried to schedule, and obviously for me, it made more sense to schedule Alabama since it was right there in my where I went to high school, and we were able to get that done my junior year. And and most schools were kind of okay. Well, we'll play in Bama, then we do you guys come to Chapel Hill like a little deal where it's a back-to-back.
Yeah.
And we came into Tuscaloosa, and I wouldn't even say we took you guys lightly. You guys were just a good team, and fortunate for myself, I played decent in that game. I think I had about 12 points, but you guys were again on that home crowd is a real thing. We kind of kept it close, but I think it wasn't really that close at the end, maybe 10 points or so. It's one of those things that I really enjoyed, and we got to travel, obviously, a bunch of places to play where some of the players were from. It was kind of a treat for the players to go and play in front of their home crowds, the home fans and their family. But the fans weren't too welcoming to the Tar Heels that night, for sure.
Are you doing some color for the basketball team now? It sounds like you guys had several guys that are doing color with Eric Montross, unfortunately, passing away. Tell us what you're doing now with North Carolina.
Yes, sir. I was just back here enjoying life, doing random podcasts here and there, and then Montross got that news last March about being sick and wasn't able to do the radio this year. He had done the radio for 18, 20 years here, and I had never even listened to the radio, Barry, and so I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but if it's for the big fella, I'll be happy to help out. And,
sure.
So I started doing that with a couple other guys. Hansbrough's been doing it, Tyler Zeller, Marcus Ginyard, and then obviously here in December, Montross passed away. But I've done 10, 15 games this year. It's been a joy, and I'm not sure I anticipated how much I liked it just because I've been away from the program so long. But it's been a fun thing to do, to travel with the team and go to all these ACC venues and be on the court calling the games. It's been a treat. I wish it was under better circumstances for sure.
Sure.
Montross was the guy that I my senior year was a freshman, and big fella had a great career at Carolina in the NBA and also with his radio. So it's just a sad story. But if there's anything good about it, I found something that I enjoy doing with Carolina.
Yeah. Well, Pete, you have safe travels over to
Thanks,
Alabama.
Pete.
I always admired you as a player. You had a great career there at North Carolina. You went on and played great in the NBA, got a world championship out of it. So everything worked out for everybody. But be careful. Appreciate you being on with us.
Yeah, thanks so much for what you said. I appreciate it, Pete.
Of course, Coach. You guys have a great day, and every other game I'm with you guys, but tonight we got to go Heels, baby.
I got you. Yeah, I don't blame you. Pull for them. Thank you, Pete.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys. All right,
there's Peter Chilcutt there, does a nice job. Really good player, fundamental, but, coming from Tuscaloosa Academy to North Carolina, he said he had the red shirt and then played his way into being the last pick of the first round, so good for him. All right, Dad, let's talk about Bryant Bank before we get to break.
Well, if you're looking for a traditional banking experience, then Bryant Bank, I think, is the place for you. It's a local bank, the one that everybody knows the people inside, and they will do everything they possibly can to make you one of them. who get to enjoy online banking around the clock, which is very, very important for you. They've done a great job of marketing and helping people with the school systems in Tuscaloosa, but not only in Tuscaloosa, they're out throughout the state of Alabama. One right below me here in Birmingham, and I've been a visitor and a client of Bryant Bank for a long, long time. They do a terrific job in being darn sure that you get the service that you need when you walk into that bank. And as I talk about every time, you not only walk into a nice bank, but you're walking into a place that has a nice banker that knows what they're doing. We're going through periods of time now where banks are being targeted with fraud attempts nearly every day, and they know exactly what goes on in that situation, and they can certainly help you and be darn sure that nothing happens to the funds that you have. If you're looking to buy a home, Archie Weaver at the Bryant Bank can help you there and be a partner for you. I think that you'll find that Bryant Bank is just exactly what I say it is. It's a bank that you would enjoy and a bank that you feel trustworthy.
Or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511.
All pets are unique. Your pet's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply. Studies available upon request.
Years ago, Jimmy Rain decided that the best way to advertise Great Southernwood was through coaches. Gene Stallings, Pat Dye, Steve Spurrier, and myself, and many more coaches took to the radio and TV airwaves to tell people that if you're building outdoors, the only way to build is with pressure-treated pine, yellow wood. It is the very, very best. Why? Because all the coaches said yellow wood, pressure-treated pine, protects against bug, termite, and weather. Decking, fencing, play sets, whatever you're wanting to build, just go to the internet, look at yellow wood.
Lone Star, Saturday, May 25th, Pearl River Resort Silver Star Convention Center.
No news.
Road tripping, business travel, or bringing your car in for repairs. All great reasons to rent a Toyota at Tuscaloosa Toyota. You can rent the latest Toyota models for a day, a week, or a weekend. Every Toyota rental-car comes with 24 hours roadside assistance. Team of people you know and trust. Rent a Toyota and let's go places. Reserving yours is a breeze at TuscaloosaToyota.com.
This report is sponsored by Think It Up.
The best station in the state, breaking down Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Go to TuscaloosaToyota.com. I'm looking right here at the website now. You can look at all the new inventory on the lot, the used inventory, schedule a service. You want to rent a Toyota, you could do it right there. You're going out of town, need to rent a reliable car. You can rent one. You want to order a part. You want to speak with Jessica. You could do it right there on the website, TuscaloosaToyota.com. It'll come up. You can take care of everything right there. If you want to go by, swing by Skyland Boulevard, ask for Justin. He and David DeSantis will do a great job. They'll take great care of you. 205-553-3325 if you want to give those guys a call at Tuscaloosa Toyota. All right, we talked with Pete Chilcutt. We've heard all the stuff. It's time to play now. These guys they have a little different feel in your stomach when you're walking out of the hotel. I think it's one of the best times. These are big games. You'll have the bands usually lined up there. You got people in the lobby. It's just a different feel when you're in the NCAA tournament, especially when you're playing in the Sweet 16. Just kind of talk about what these guys are going through, what the coaches are going through. It's an anxious time. You're excited for your team. You're excited for your opportunity, but sitting around waiting today to get to the game, that's kind of difficult, isn't it, Dan?
Long day. It's a long day. You let them sleep in. Generally speaking, you will probably go out and shoot some, maybe a little bit after the rest. Not try to get up too early and shoot. There are all kind of ways to do it, whatever the coach thinks. But it's just a long day, and it's an opportunity to have a shot to go to the Final Eight, and that's not easy to do. I think this is this is an opportunity. I think Alabama got an awfully good draw in the tournament, and I think North Carolina's a beatable team. Whether Alabama will win or not, I have no idea. But I do think North Carolina's beatable. I just don't think they've got the shooters Alabama has. But of course, the defensive end is going to be critical. But anyway, to answer your question, we already talked about what has to happen for you to win. I think it's a long. It would be a long day for me. And then, you're excited to play. You're not at home. You'll have some fans there, but not a lot. North Carolina also will not be home, and that's big. That's big for you that they don't have the home court advantage. So, as you have mentioned, the home court advantage in this deal is Arizona when they play Clemson.
Yeah.
So that's the big plus there. I don't say it now because when Alabama's not involved, I don't particularly. I don't. And the 2 games I've seen Arizona, they're okay.
They're better than you think. They're pretty good. They're pretty good.
You picked them. That's the reason.
Yeah, well, I think they're good. Yes, Justin.
Coach, I had a question, and Barry, you might answer this as well, about the logistics, I guess, of staying out there on the West Coast. As far as uniforms, equipment, practices, are they just reaching out to local schools?
The NCAA sets all that up for you. So you have so much time in the arena. If they want to shoot extra, then they'll have somebody that helps each team, and you say, hey, we want to get they've already secured gyms around the area. So you say, hey, we want to get a time.
Justin,
yes,
Justin, I had they have 23 managers. I had 4.
They have a lot of people.
Yeah, I had 3. They got more managers and they got more people that travel with them, and they got plenty of people.
Yeah, and they have equipment guys with them. They'll do all their laundry, all that stuff for them. When Coach left, I heard he told them to pack for 2 weeks. So these guys are. But as far as their practice gear and all that, they take care of all that stuff for them. So they're treated. These meals that they have is unbelievable when they go in these rooms, these buffets that are set up for them. So those, they have a representative that helps each team get you anything and everything that you need. They'll have cars for the coaches that need to go do something, this, that, and the other. So it's the NCAA. I know there's a place for them to go lift. I've seen them lifting. Coach Barrera, who's a friend of mine, his son plays for me. Actually, I know a great kid. He's out there as well. I texted him yesterday, asked him if he's ever coming home. But they're out there, and I told him enjoy it, man. These are, your dad worked so hard. He's gone so much. These are the rewards for your dad working in athletics and being gone so much as you get to do great trips like this. So I got to do a ton. One of the things, Dad, that Pete Chilcutt said that makes sense to me and you, I don't know if it does to the listener, he said, even the thing that scares you about Alabama, and this would scare me to death, even when your defense is back, so you feel like we're back, those guys shoot it anyway. They're going, a lot of times you think if we get back, we're going to take the shot away. They're going to let it fly, regardless of whether you're back or not. So you got to be there and contest the shot and make it a tough 3, but they're going to let them go whether you're there or not. That's kind of scary because it could be that night where they're on, right? As a coach getting ready for Alabama, that would worry me. You?
Well, the other factor is they're going to shoot twice as many as you shoot.
Yeah.
They're going to shoot 33s, and you're going to shoot 18.
But does that worry you that they're playing with no conscience? They're going to pull and they're going to keep pulling, and eventually they start to drop. So there's no pressure. You're never shooting with one eye on the bench.
No.
You'll get taken out if you don't shoot. To me, those kind of teams scare me when I'm defending.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
All right, we'll take the break here. We'll open up the phone lines. If you guys got 1 or 2 more phone calls, anyone give us a prediction for the game, you can do that as well. I know the last show, everybody predicted Alabama to win, so we better – I'm not going to make it. Justin, you even picked Alabama. Do you really believe that? You really believe Alabama's going to win this game?
So, like, 2 sides of the coin. I talked to you in the break how I picked against Alabama when we played Florida.
Tom will call you everything in the book if you pick it. Yeah,
Coach made me change my mind, so I'm just going to be a homer. I'm going to stick to it.
There you go. All right, you listen to Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Colerain is a much more pleasant place to be now than it was earlier this morning. Our big accident, eastbound 2059 near University, is cleared. We actually had two separate ones, and both are now gone, at least out of the roadway, so all lanes open and no backup. In fact, it's just an 8-minute drive from the 359 interchange.
For his clients. Remember M for money and Mesrano.
If it has a logo on it, call me. 205-800-8000.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A good supply of sunshine today, the high 67. Clear and cool tonight, the low 40. Tomorrow and Saturday, the warming trend continues. A good supply of sunshine both days. The high tomorrow 72, the high Saturday in the upper 70s at 78. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 48 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry, only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. All the interviews are up on the podcast center. If you missed Pete Chilcutt, it'll be up. We had in the first hour, JC, who always does a great job. All right, going to Friday, the other SEC team. I think Nate Oates will not get any criticism either way. He'll get praised if they win, if they lose. Everything will be fine. I think he's gotten this team further than anybody really anticipated, especially with the departure of so many players and coaches. On the other hand, Tennessee, Rick Barnes has done a great job at Tennessee. He's been a great coach throughout the years, but people want him to advance further. He gets some criticism when they lose early. They're taking on Creighton tomorrow, the last game on TBS and True TV. Tennessee's actually a 2.5-point favorite. How far will Tennessee go in this tournament?
Well, I think they can win this game. I think they're more physical than Creighton. I think their biggest thing is they've got to defend the three. And Creighton's an awfully good outside shooting team. I think they've shown they could do that by the way they've played Alabama. And I think it'll be sort of that same defensive attitude towards Creighton as it was against Alabama. So I would say you're exactly right. People have been down on they've only got the one Final Four and all the years he was there and all that fussing that people do about. And they were very, very fortunate to win the last game. It was a tough game against Texas. Tough second round game, and for whatever reason, I think they beat Creighton.
Yeah, I think they will too. It's a low line. The winner of that game plays the winner of Gonzaga and Purdue. I think Tennessee is one team that could guard Edey pretty well. They have some big physical guys that not shut him down, but not where he just dominates them. But do you look for Purdue or Gonzaga to win this other semifinal match in that region?
Well, you have to say Purdue because they're so darn good. They have been. I was wrong on that. I got a text that Purdue has been to Final Fours.
Yeah,
and I was incorrect on that. So Painter does a good job with them. They've got it'll be a tough game. Like when you go against Purdue, my feeling is you really got to do a really good job of guarding the perimeter people. Yeah, I know the big guy is a big cog, and he's going to get a bunch of points. But I just think if you let if you worry him so much and don't do a job on the perimeter people, you don't beat them.
Yep. All right, that's it for today's show. I'm not going to give a prediction because everybody would get mad. I think it's going to be a difficult game for Alabama. I do think they have the style that could win it because if you get hot, man, anything can happen. So I'll be just nervous if I were North Carolina. I know Justin's picking Alabama to win. I'm not going to ask Dad to pick it, but he thinks they got a great chance. Should be a great game. The line moved up 1 point. No big deal. 4.5. That won't matter when they throw it up. So keep it locked in tomorrow. We'll break it all down for you. The Alabama will be in the Elite Eight. We'll talk about what happened in the games tonight. The Gary Harris Show is next, so keep it locked in. You listen to Tide 100.9, 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports. Have a great day, everybody.